Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews, and it's a pretty good sized week. I haven't had time to really put anything behind, so sorry John. It's been a busy week, and I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I really want to get those reviews up before weekend. So that's where we're at. So let's get to it this week. First up, Absolute Wonder Woman #1, written by Kelly Thompson with artwork by Hayden Sherman. So now, just a forewarning, this review is going to be a little bit spoilery. I'll try to keep it to a minimum, but it's been out for a few days, so hopefully you've kind of read it. So really, the premise is that Diana is actually given to a witch in hell as a baby, and so she grows up in hell. And also, she kind of she doesn't learn magic, or her mom has magic, but so really what it is even though she's grown up in hell, she still has that hope and compassion, that's really within her. 'Cause she's an Amazonian from Themyscira, but Apollo has dumped her in hell we don't know why she was sent there. We don't know about Themyscira or anything, but she does come to our world, and it is Wonder Woman, very much so. But it's kind of a different, little darker, more visually in some respects, but she definitely carries that hope and compassion with her that is really part of the main reason why Wonder Woman works so well. Thompson really does a great job of setting up the story here. I think, introducing, her mom and everything, and kind of her growing up in hell really just, builds the character up really quite well. And then of course there's the action of, there's monsters on the loose, and, Wonder Woman has to come and, beat up, monsters, which is always kind of fun. So this first issue does a really nice job. I mean, obviously it's exposition and stuff, but Thompson really does a great balancing act here of dealing with the exposition, but, moving the story forward without it, and kind of, leading up to, and having some action in the first issue instead of just like a bunch of talking heads. It is just really well paced. And then Sherman's artwork is really, really gorgeous. I've really been a big fan of his, and I'm really glad that he's doing this book, because this will be a big break. A lot of people really haven't seen how great of an artist he is, and this book's really gonna show like a lot of new readers how really good he is. And I think him and Thompson, and of course Jordi Beller's doing the color, and her coloring she's just one of the best. It just really fires on all cylinders. It's once again, it's like Absolute Batman in the sense of it's just a different kind of telling, but it's still very much Wonder Woman. And that's been the great thing on both books so far is, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's more of, kind of telling the same story, but from a different angle. But the other thing is also, this is really good for new readers. I mean, everybody knows who Wonder Woman is, but it's kind of, it's you're coming in on the ground floor of this story. So that's really good. So once again, just like Absolute Batman, I really, really enjoyed this first issue. I'm really excited to see where Thompson and Sherman take this from here. It was just really wonderful. And as a matter of fact, as much as I really liked Absolute Batman, I kind of like this a little bit better. Not that, one's better than the other, but there was just something, I think Wonder Woman is such a great character, and she's also a character that really is a tough nut to crack for creators, and Thompson and Sherman really have just nailed it here, and I really like this book. It's a must buy this week. Next up we have Iron Man #1, written by Spencer Ackerman with artwork by Julius Ahota. So what this is Tony is coming back to Stark Unlimited, but what he finds out is that Roxxon and AIM have teamed up to try to take over, and so they've also infected his suit with malware, so they kind of control him. And of course, so he's fighting some bad guys, and then his suit, he's tries to fly away, and then he crashes. So he's recovering, and so he basically he ends up building a new suit that doesn't have as much as advancement as some of the other suits, and and then you find out that they're going after Stark Industries, and it's a pretty basic story. I mean, it wasn't necessarily bad. It just didn't do a whole lot for me, and it's also kind of one of those things that it didn't feel really like a kind of a good jumping on point necessarily for new readers, because obviously there's something going on in the previous. Looks like I felt like there was something I was missing a little bit in this first issue from previous stories. Not horribly, but just a bit. It was kind of like, it wasn't super glaring. It was more of kind of just like a feeling. The story was okay. It was pretty typical superhero-ish type stuff. Tony, being Tony, and Iron Man. It was just kind of basic. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. Ota's artwork is nice. It gets the job done. It's pretty basic superhero artwork. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just it fits the story well. But overall, it was just kind of average. It was okay. Didn't really, wasn't particularly compelling. And after reading it, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I got to read the second issue. It's like, nah, I'm pretty good. It's just kind of okay in the end. Next up, we have Hack Slash and Body Bags #1, written by Tim Seeley, with artwork by Stefano Caselli, with Stephen Kurth. So what the basic premise here is, Cassie, Hack, and Vlad are going to Terminus, Georgia. They're searching for a killer, and in Georgia is Mac Clownface Delgado and his daughter Panda, who are body bags. And so what it is they're going because there's a killer, and they're following the killer, and then they end up there. The story with Mac and Panda is she's going to a private school. That's kind of, it's all, this first issue is very set up. Part of it is, I think you really have to be familiar with not only Hack and Slash, but Body Bags. And I think it's not necessarily a problem. I mean, the story itself is pretty straightforward. It's pretty basic. Seeley is really setting up, the characters so you can kind of get to know them. But it's also like, I think there's kind of the history with both sets of characters that if you haven't read either one of them, I think you're going to be a little lost. I don't think totally lost. I think just a bit lost. And, I will say the art by Caselli and Kurth is really, really nice. It's a really good looking book. I think the question kind of comes down to, if you're not super familiar with the characters, I don't know that this is really going to convince you to know what they're like or anything. I mean, they both are kind of, action and a little on the violent side and stuff like that, and you get that. But I think just like, if you don't know the characters, and I haven't read Body Bags in like forever, but it's kind of one of those things. I think for fans of those books, I think they're really going to like it. If you've never read either one, I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough nut to crack. And I think, it's not saying in a bad way. I just think it's not really super new reader friendly. It's not a really good jumping on point. That's, I like both books. I think it's just a little tough for, cause I haven't read a lot of Hack and Slash lately. And, I think it's just tough in that respect, but I think it is kind of worth checking out. for fans of either one of those books or both books. But for new readers, I'd be a little more hesitant on that one. Next up, we have Nightwing number 119, written by Dan Watters, with artwork by Dexter Soy. Now, these two gentlemen have the unimaginable task of following Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's run. So I really, once again, I tried to go in with just, let the book at face value and I certainly did not want to compare it to the previous run. I mean, that's always tough. So the basic premise here is, for this first issue, is that mob bosses have been killed. So their gangs are running around. They're killing each other. Bloodhaven is in chaos. So the mayor gets Olivia Pierce from Spheric Solutions to basically get military grade weapons so the police can handle the crime. And of course, Dick is like, hey, I'm trying to take care of this. I've been, working on what's going on, trying to find out who's behind it. We do kind of find out somewhat who's behind it at the end. I will not spoil that here. The thing is, it was kind of okay, and it was okay because it was just, Waters, the script is fine. Soy's artwork is nice and everything, but I think the thing is, it's kind of basic superhero 101. It's, here, the bad guy comes to town, Nightwing has to figure out what's going on, and he doesn't know, but the reader knows that so-and-so's behind it. It was just basic, this is just kind of average superhero. Then that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think especially after the run of Taylor and Redondo, that book hit such a high, and it really, it was about, we got so much characterization of all the characters that they had in the book, where this is just kind of like, okay, here's Nightwing and Oracle's, telling him, hey, what's going on. It was just, it's basic superhero 101, and that's fine, but I just don't think it was quite good enough. I'm willing to give the book a second, issue to kind of see if it kind of goes somewhere. But ultimately, I just felt it was very basic and just kind of like, okay, that's nice, but where are you going to go with it? Because I didn't feel like it was really motivating me to go anywhere. So that it's okay. It's not really a recommendation, but if you like Nightwing, you might want to check it out. But I think it's a real rough start for this creative team. Once again, I will say Soy's artwork is nice. The script is decent. It's pretty rough first issue, or first part of the story. Next up, we have Detective Comics number 1090, written by Tom Taylor, with artwork by Mikkel Janin. So I kind of did this on purpose because Tom Taylor is now the regular writer on Detective Comics. So this is a good jumping on point because the last issue was the finish of Ram V's run on the book, which was quite amazing. But so what this story is, so it's kind of like the present and the past and how these two stories are coming together. So there's flashbacks of Martha and Thomas. Thomas was a doctor, and so this lady comes in, she's pregnant, and what it is that they were in a car accident, but he notices that some of her injuries are not from a car accident, and that her husband has been abusing her. So he helps her with the help of Martha to get away, to help save her and the child from this guy who is abusing her. And so that's in the past. So the present day is Bruce is going out, and there's this young boy who, you know, is robbing a place. He accidentally, you know, he doesn't mean to like shoot the owner. He ends up shooting him, but Bruce stays with the owner until the ambulance gets there. He chases, he tags the boy with the tracker. So with Oracle's help, he finds out where he is, but he's been killed in the sewers. So what this is really doing is something from the past is going to the present, and the present has something to do with the past. We also find out that that there's a connection with his parents from this. It's Scarlet Martha Scott. So there's a connection. He says it's the last connection to his parents, and she has developed this fountain of youth, but it's basically so expensive it's only for rich people. So that's why she's invited Bruce. So there's that kind of going on. We don't know how that's going to fit in. But once again, Tom Taylor's gotten this off to a good start. It's a decent first issue. There's a lot of exposition and stuff, but I like the tone of the story. Janen's artwork is always fantastic, so that's a big plus. I think it's off to a good start, and I think it's well worth checking out. So that's worth picking up this week. Next up, we have Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater #1, written and drawn by Tom Scully. So really, okay, I'll give you the lowdown. It's set in the past. It's set during, let me look this up really quick. It's set, I believe, during World War I. 1917 is when it starts. So you have Godzilla, you have the great Jay Gatsby, Sherlock Holmes, Jules Verne, Cyborg, Thomas Edison, and H.G. Wells. And so what it is that Gatsby gets this, he kind of gets all these people together. They're called G-Force. And what it is Godzilla in the past. So, like, one of the things is that the Godzilla is actually the one that sank the Titanic, not an iceberg. And so you'll kind of see like that. So it's kind of like he's playing with history by throwing Godzilla in with all these other historical, personalities. And, some of them real, some of them fictional, but it all kind of it's kind of like throwing everything into a blender, and it just weirdly works. Scully has done a number of Marvel projects, like he did, I believe he did X-Men Grand Design, and, I think he did a Hulk one. But this is definitely, his art style is very kind of underground, like, and it works really well. I mean, it's kind of an outrageous story, and that's why it works so well, because it's just kind of crazy. It doesn't kind of make any sense for all these people to be together, but he makes it make sense, which is weird, but that's kind of the charm of the book. And then, like I said, his artwork is just really kind of like, it's very old school, like kind of, very retro, but and that's why it kind of works so well with throwing, all this stuff into a blender and then just coming up with like Godzilla and then G-Force, It's really wild. It's not going to be for everybody, but I think it's definitely just very different, and I really applaud IDW for doing this with Godzilla. Definitely it's something outside, definitely outside the box, and that's what I really liked about it. So that's well worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Zatanna Bring Down the House #5, written by Mariko Tamaki, with artwork by Javier Rodriguez. So this is the last issue. So Zatanna, goes into, kind of the magical realm to confront her father, Zatara. And when she gets there, she turns back into the little girl of when, her father disappeared. So it's, really it's about her coming to terms and understanding that she is magic, because her father basically tried to steal her magic from her, but he didn't. And so that's really, it's kind of the final battle. I really don't want to say anymore, because it's really a wonderful ending, and there's a just really neat thing on the last page, which is really, really nice. It wasn't like shock, but in a lot of ways, looking back on this is almost like Zatanna year one. and it's really kind of introducing the character to, you know, a more modern audience. I mean, I've always had a really fondness for Zatanna. I think she's a really good character, and and what Tamaki and Rodriguez have done here is really just done a wonderful, just really great self-contained story that was just amazing. I mean, the script was amazing, and Rodriguez's artwork, it's just stunning. I mean, this is a gorgeous looking book. If you missed any of it, I know there's going to be a collection of it. I highly recommend this book. I really just fired on all cylinders from page one to the last page. It was very, very satisfying miniseries, and you know, I just loved it to death. It's definitely a must buy book, and like I said, if you've missed it, definitely pick it up when the collection comes out. Next up is The Moon is Following Us, number 2, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, with artwork by Riley Rossmos and Daniel Warren Johnson. So basically the premise here, and we learned this in the first issue, was that Sam and Duncan, Sam her mom, Duncan is her dad, and Penny, their daughter Penny, is so what it is she's kind of stuck in this dream coma where she's not, you know, she's dreaming. And so what we saw in the first issue is that her parents go into her dream world to try to rescue her so she can wake up in the real world. So in this issue, we kind of find the backstory of how, you know, at the end of the first issue, we see that, you know, they're going into Penny's. It's kind of like the Matrix, where they're plugging into Penny so they can go into the world. And so what we find out in this issue is kind of how it started and how they are able to go to kind of her dream world. And we also learn that all the characters in the dream world are her toys kind of come to life. So they don't know, you know, they're not toys. They, you know, the parents are like, oh, you're like so-and-so's frog. And it's like, no, I'm so-and-so. So that is kind of a neat twist. And, you know, we find out that, you know, kind of, the reason that they have to try to, you know, the reason they have to go into this world is to save Penny, because this darkness is going to consume her and she will die. So that's why her parents go in to like fight the battle so they can get her back, you know. And then that's kind of what's going on. What you see here, so here's how the artwork works. When they're in the dream world, it's drawn by Rossmo. When they're in the real world, it's drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. So even though their styles are, you know, kind of completely different, it really meshes quite well together. So the first issue was predominantly Riley Rossmo, and this issue, most of this second issue is mostly Daniel Warren Johnson, but you do see the paths cross. There's a really great double page spread where you see both of the artists working together. So, you know, part of it's Daniel and part of it's Riley, and it just really works really well. I'm a big fan of this book. I'm a huge fan of Riley Rossmo. I'm really happy that people are going to finally see what a great artist he is. Now, that's nothing against Daniel Warren Johnson, who's an amazing artist, but I love the premise of this book. I love the artwork, and the second issue built really nicely on that first issue. So, well worth checking out. Really, just really another must-buy book this week. Next up, The Horizon Experiment, The Sacred Dam, number 1, written by Saber Perzeda, with artwork by Michael Walsh. I hope I got your name right. So what this is The Horizon Experiment is basically one-shot books that may turn into series if sales warrant it and if the response warrants it. So this is the second book. One's coming out each month, and they're all self-contained, so you can just read them by themselves. So what it is this football star Kyle, he gets possessed by a jinn, which is a a Hindi like demon that possesses him, and he basically is kind of like, it's gluttony. And so what it is when he goes to sleep, he inadvertently, he eats, and he gains like over 100 pounds. So, he can't play football. And then one of the things he does, which is a bit of a spoiler, but he eats his girlfriend. And, it's just, so what it is Iana, she's basically a Muslim John Constantine. She knows how to get the jinn out of him so he can kind of, get his life back. And once again, I don't want to really spoil what kind of happens and everything, but it is a self-contained story, and there's also kind of a story with Aya and how with her sister and everything, and why she knows about jinns and everything. It was really quite fascinating. Definitely reminded me, not so much because Michael Walsh drew it, but kind of a Silver Coin, where it's kind of a horror story that is just really very interesting. I like the mythology to it. Of course, Walsh's art is always a win. He's such a great artist, and it was really well worth checking out. I would definitely like to see more. And the question kind of comes down to, would it really be more stories about jinn, demons, or would it be something different? Because in a way, she's kind of like a female John Constantine, so that could be interesting to see. I did like this, and like I said, I would like to see more, and I really like the story, and of course Walsh's artwork was really, really good. Next up, we have Green Lantern Dark #1, written by Tate Bromble, with artwork by Werther Deedra. So what this is the first of DC bringing back the Elseworlds imprint, and what it is it's in some ways it's a little like Black Label, and what it's stuff that is done but is out of continuity. So you can either do a regular story, or you can have a Green Lantern, like in this case Green Lantern is a Green Lantern, but it's different because she has a staff and a green flame instead of a ring. But she has some, but it's not so much she has a power ring. So the premise here is that all the heroes have fallen, and darkness has enveloped the world. And so Solomon Grundy is leading the monsters, and there's this town, and she tells stories of Green Lantern that she comes to save them, that they're just stories, but she does come and save them, or she does come to the town. But once again, Grundy and his monsters are like, and then what happens is it's like zombies. They can get possessed. So basically people turn into monsters and become monsters. So there's that going on. So it's kind of there's a lot going on in this first issue, but Bromble does a really nice job of, setting up the world, setting up, everything. And like I said, it's Green Lantern, but it's different. And what I liked is that he didn't reveal everything about this Green Lantern in this first issue, which I think was kind of wise. And then Werther Deedra's artwork is really, really nice. Of course, he's the artist on Something's Killing the Children. And so he really definitely visually just fits the mood perfectly. I really enjoyed it, and I'm a big fan of the Elseworlds, and I think this is off to a good start. So it's worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Alien Romulus #1, written by Zach Thompson, with artwork by Daniel Pichetto. So what this story is, it's a prequel to the movie that recently came out. And so what it is, it's the alien from the first film who is in, kind of, he's in a rock, but he's hibernating. And of course they come to the station and they open it up. And of course the alien gets out, starts killing everybody. And, and what it is that if you've seen the film, bit of a spoiler here, is that they're extracting kind of like the DNA they're trying to create kind of a fountain of youth with alien DNA, which, if you've seen the film, does not go well. but it was kind of okay. I mean, it was nice and everything. I just don't know that it really, I did see the film and I really enjoyed it. But I don't know that I necessarily needed this story. It was okay. It's not, Thompson's, script is fine. Pichetto's artwork is nice. It gets the job done. And, nothing, it didn't bowl me over, but it was, fit the story. I just don't know that it was necessary. It was okay. If you're an Alien fan, you might like it more than I did. I love I love all the Alien films. But it was kind of okay. I just don't know that it was hugely necessary. Next up, we have DC Horror Presents #1. So there's 2 stories. There's Deadly Dollhouse, written by David Dashmalin and Leah Kirkpatrick, with artwork by Kat Staggs, and Woeful Wonder Woman, written by the Boulette brothers, and written by Butch, or drawn by Butch Mappa. So really what this kind of is, because a lot of times DC has been put out holiday anthologies, but what they're like $10 and they're multiple stories. But what I think they've done here, it's the same theory, but it's 4 issues, and each issue I believe is going to have 2 stories. So it's kind of a little more expensive, but then you're not on the hook for like the whole book. So you can pick and choose which ones you like. So the first one, The Deadly Dollhouse, is the premise is this guy Max jumps out of the window. His girlfriend, the ambulance comes, and they're like, he's dead, but she's like, I can bring him back to life. So what it is she takes him to her father, who's kind of like Dr. Frankenstein, brings him back to life. I will not spoil the ending. It has a really neat ending. Dashmalin and Kirkpatrick's story was really good. Basically they're both short stories, good, gets to the point. Kat Staggs' artwork is really, really nice. It really is really good looking. The second one, with Wonder Woman, and the story there is a demon possesses her dead mother, and so Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl have to, get the demon back so, they can save Themyscira, because this demon is, killing Amazon. So, it was a basic story. I mean, it was nice and everything. It wasn't unnerving. It was okay. I didn't like it as much as the first story, but I thought it was fine. Mappa's artwork's nice. But overall, I think I like the first story a little bit more than the second one. So, but I know, like I said, each issue is going to have a different creative team on it. So, I think it's, if you're looking for a decent horror book, I mean, like I said, the first story is really good. The second one's decent. So that's kind of where we're at on that one. So it's a minor recommendation. Next up, we have X Factor #3, written by Mark Russell, with artwork by Bob Quinn. So the premise of this particular issue is that there's an AI controlled moon base that's out of control. It's been taken over by the AI, and it's run by this guy Ethan Farthing, which is, shall we say, a person who runs Tesla and SpaceX. I will not mention said name on here, but it's obvious that is a nod and a wink to that person. And so there's that part of the story going on, but we also kind of, because Polaris has taken off, she's kind of in this underground mutant thing. We learned that last issue. And we also kind of learn of who is it? It's Granny Smite. Basically, she cannot be killed. So that comes into play in this issue, and that becomes quite hilarious. But what it is so basically, whenever, because X-Force is now like whatever the government needs, it's like, oh, hey, go do this, go do that. And so they're at the whim of that. I'm really liking what Russell is doing here with this book. It's really different. And, you know, I know it's not going to appeal to everybody, especially, you know, kind of diehard X-Men superhero fans are not going to like this book. But that's what I like about this book, is that he's taking chances. He's doing things differently. You know, it's just, you know, he's not really doing a superhero book per se. He is and he isn't. And I think, you know, what's interesting is, like, he builds up a team and then kind of destroys it, and, you know, but Havoc is really the main. He's really the linchpin that kind of holds everything together, and so that is, you know, that's a really smart move. You know, he's always there to, like, ground the story each issue so far. And then Quinn's artwork is really, really nice. It's a good looking book. Like I said, it's not for everyone. And, you know, I've seen some reviews on it where they're not big fans of it. But if you're definitely looking for something different, I would definitely check this out. That's what I like about it. It is that it is very different. And that's what I'm also like. I did like, even though some of the new X books I wasn't really a big fan of, but I like that they told their own story. And that's what's really good about this one. And finally this week, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3, written by Jason Aaron, with artwork by Cliff Chang. So this issue, each issue is centered on a turtle. So the first one was Mikey, the second one was Ralph, and this one is Leonardo. And so what it is, he's searching for peace because there's been a rift between the brothers. And so he ends up on the banks of Ganges in this turtle colony. And, you know, so he ends up, you know, trying to find, you know, peace. And then these poachers come because they're killing the turtles. And so he has to defend the turtles from the poachers. And then the Foot Clan comes in, and then all hell breaks loose. And he finds out from the Foot Clan that, you know, he needs to get back to his brothers. So in this issue, we actually get the reuniting of Leo, Mikey, and Ralph. Because Leo has basically found out that they got to find Donnie because there's something going on that something that the Foot Clan knows, or maybe has captured him. We're not quite sure. We know but it's so we're finally starting. You know, Aaron's bringing these threads together, which is really nice because these first 4 issues are setting up where the story is going to go from. So I think it's a smart move. I also like that each issue has been a different artist, and Cliff Chang is just really an amazing artist. He did, of course, he's known for Paper Girls, but I really loved his Catwoman Lonely City, which was just absolutely brilliant. If you haven't read that, just go buy it. It's that good. He wrote and drew that one. But, you know, I think these are really, each issue has been, I mean, he's really perfect for this particular story, and I think that's been the assets of each artist doing an issue, is that they bring something to that particular turtle. And I think it's, you know, I'm really enjoying what he's doing here. So it'll be interesting to see how this first kind of story arc, you know, comes together in the 4th issue and where it's going to go from there. So once again, while we're checking out, and, you know, once again, I've said this before with the previous issues, these are good jumping on points for people that want to get into Turtles without, you know, kind of worrying about continuity, because this is straight up new continuity, so this is a good time to jump in. So, well, we're checking out. That's going to do it this week. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a great store. There's Annie, there's Wendy. Derek runs their socials. You can check out there's a Facebook group page. We post a lot of stuff. We have a lot of fun over there. It's a really good comic store. You know, he offers discounts on trades and graphic novels every day, has a nice manga selection. And it's just a really good, solid comic book store, and they really good customer service and everything. Well, I mean, it's my local comic shop, but I wouldn't stay there if I didn't like it. So, you know, I love them all, and it's just a great store. And as always, we end our show with Be Kind to each other. I know times are really tough and crazy right now with everything in the world's going on, but being kind to others is really important. You know, you don't have to do big things, just little things. Open the door for somebody, say hello, acknowledge people's existence. That you know, you don't even have to say, you know, if like, you know, you're out on a walk and you see somebody walking by, you just nod or, you know, wave or something. You know, really little things can make people's day like that. And really, especially take care of yourselves. I know, like I said, mentally and physically, I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, but taking care of yourself is really, really important. So just take care of yourself and be kind to others. That's the most important thing you can do in life. That's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. We got it out a little earlier this week, so that's a big plus. So thanks for watching. We've had a lot of new subscribers. Thanks for joining. Comments are always welcome. Let me know if you have any suggestions, ideas. I'll try to see what we can do. But as always, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.